Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Voltron review. The last one I did, I think, was in 2010 with the Masterpiece Voltron. It's also the last time I bought a Voltron toy. I've skipped a few of the ones that have come out recently. I just got tired of buying the same Voltron over and over again. But here we have a new Voltron. From the Voltron Legendary Defender Netflix original series, we have the Legendary Voltron. Now this Voltron is a combining Voltron that was made by Playmates Toys, of all people. Not people that have experience in making robots, so we'll see how this goes. But it was released separately. The black lion for $30 and the red, blue, yellow, and green lions for $20 each. So how did this all come together? How did this turn out? Is it a good toy? All these questions and more will be answered with this video. So without further ado, let's start taking a look at the Voltron lions with the blue lion. Alright, so taking a look at Blue Lion first, because it was the first lion to appear in the series, and also the last one that I had to track down. For whatever reason, my Toys R Us seemed to have only gotten red, green, and yellow lions, and then later got the black lion, but didn't restock the blue lion until much later. So it's kind of strange that way, but here we have Blue Lion piloted by Lance. So each Voltron lion comes with one of these. This is a sled, as they're called. These are the vehicles that the pilots can fly out of the lions if they need to do smaller covert missions, and it's so tiny I'm having trouble focusing on it. But basically you can see the general shape and design of it is that it's a futuristic sled, could be a F-Zero racing vehicle even. There is a tiny little figure of Lance molded in there. It's not removable naturally, it's not even fully painted, but it is kind of a nice little representation of the scale of these lions, as that's your standard human in this sled, which goes inside the lion, which I think is really cool. So we got that, and we also got this giant cannon. Now these cannons, when the toys were first revealed, people thought, oh, these are just gimmick cannons. Including myself, I thought this was just a gimmick piece, but these actually have been showing up in the second season of the series. So each of the main lions come with that. But taking a look at Blue Lion, the thing is, Playmates Toys has never done a combining giant robot before, from what I can tell. They knocked it out of the park with this. A lot of people compare these to the Power Ranger movie Battle Zords because they're the same price. These are a lot smaller. Not a lot smaller, but like significantly smaller, but the paint is a lot better. The detail, you can see you got like the mouths have fangs in them. But you got like really nice paint applications on the head. Overall, it is very simplistic paint because of the design, but it looks really good. The articulation is astounding. All of it is transformation joints, which was also surprising, but you got the head here, which you can wiggle left and right a little bit. It mostly just moves up and down. The mouth is spring-loaded, so you get this kind of cool biting gimmick, which is pretty neat. The front legs have rotation here, a bend here, and a pivot here, all ratcheted, which is really nice. And the back legs, here's this, that, and that. So you can get all kinds of wide variety of poses out of the lions. They have a lot of possibility, and again, all transformation joints. You can also rotate the tail, so you can go up and down. It's a rubbery piece of plastic. Now, if you may have noticed, my Blue Lion has a little bit of a defect in that. This entire leg is kind of loose. Like, these two joints are loose, but this one just doesn't have any friction at all. It's supposed to be ratcheted like this, but instead it's so floppy, he's just got like a broken leg. It doesn't hurt things overall. Like when I combine it to Voltron, it's not too bad, but that is part of the problem. And some of the people have had issues with joint tolerances, whether connecting the lions into the black lion to form Voltron, or things like that, or I'm showing you have a loose foot. Stuff like that has been problematic across the board. So I think Playmates does not have joint tolerances down as well. But you can open this little panel down here, and this is where the little sled piece goes. You just put that there. It kind of clips into place, sort of, like that. Closes in. So now we got that. The cannon piece here clips to either side of the Blue Lion, like this. And now we got a cannon. And it fires a missile. Isn't that spectacular? Overall, Blue Lion is pretty good. Hopefully yours does not have the issue mine has. It's workable. I can say it's workable for me, but it may be an issie for some people. It is a QC problem, it's not every single Blue Lion has a limp right foot. It's just mine, it seems. But it's something to be aware of. Now let's take a look at the Yellow Lion. Here we have the Yellow Lion, piloted by Hunk, who is in the little sled piece here, which you can see is very tiny, but it's got kind of a VTOL engine type design going on there, which I think is really cool. But basic idea that Lance has had. And the Yellow Lion is basically the same as Blue Lion. It's structurally about the same, actually, in the middle part of the body here. You can see outside of the panel detail, it's very similar, and the legs are identical. So there is some parts reuse here. So there's that going on, but we do have some new things like the head with the wonderful, wonderful underbite. Not a factor of the original Voltron design, but was featured in Voltron Force 3rd Dimension and now Legendary Defender. So it's kind of interesting that way, but once again, spring-loaded. Really well painted. You got the big old chunk up here. Looks really good. Articulation is the same as the Blue Lion, and the cargo cockpit area is very similar as well. So you can just kind of put that in there, close it up. Now you're good to go. Now, Hunk's Lion comes with a disc launcher. It clips onto the front here. Just clip it onto the front, and then kind of just clips on there. And it has 4 discs, which you pull this little trigger and it fires out. And they fire pretty dang good, actually. I'm kind of surprised. But yeah, they have the Voltron logo on them. So that's really neat. My only complaint with the disc firing gimmick is that, well, it's got one major problem, in that if you turn the line over, they all dump out. There's no cover on that. That would have been a neat little thing they could have done to make this gimmick work better. Maybe also see if it could have transformed to double as Voltron's shoulder cannon. That would have been kind of neat too, but alas, it is a missed opportunity, I feel, is that there is no shoulder cannon accessory for the large Voltron. So, kind of strange. But without further ado, let's continue to the arm lions with Red Lion. Now, Red Lion, despite being the same price point as Blue and Yellow, actually does come with more accessories because he is smaller. Red and Green are a little smaller, so they do come with some bonus parts. Red Lion does come with half of the Blazing Sword, which you can see here, and we will take a look at that later. Of course, we do have Keith in his sled, which you can see here is really nicely detailed if the camera could focus on. There we go. It's actually a really nice little piece. On the cockpit inside, yet another QC problem. This does happen. This is what I've noticed on mine. Out of the box, mine is stressed along the joint here for the sled holder, which is a little worrisome. Just in general, just a little worrisome there. But overall, Red Lion looks fantastic. I think he does look great. He's got a jaw. This one is a lot tighter than the Blue and Yellow Lions. Also, all of them have the mouth beam molded in, which is really cool. But this is because he has a hand, so you have that. The articulation is the same, except the head rotates left and right now, instead of left to right, up and down. And the torso can actually bend in the middle for mysterious reasons I cannot explain. And also do this, so you could have them doing like weird drunken cat poses. So there's that. Other than that, the articulation is the exact same as the Blue and Yellow Lions, including the little tail, which is a shorter tail. Now, the Red Lion was the first to debut a giant cannon in the show, in Season 1 even, and there you go. So you got that, and you push a button, it's got a missile. The missiles do not fire as far as the discs, which is odd, but just like with Red Lion, Green Lion is the same price point as the other 3, so you do get an extra accessory in the form of this extra half to Voltron's sword, as well as a shield piece, I guess, would count as an extra accessory. It's part of Green Lion's design, so I don't really count it as extra, but it is there. Now, taking a look at Pidge. Pidge is, of course, the pilot of the Green Lion, and there she is in her sled, which is cool. Really neat overall. It does fit inside here, so you got all kinds of awesome action features with this toy. Green Lion, once again, similar mold to Red because they are molded similarly. In fact, the back torso piece here is the same except for the hole that's been drilled. And the mouth can open, like wider than all the others, so you got a mouth beam in there, which is pretty great. This is actually ratcheted. The other one isn't. The one that holds the sword doesn't ratchet, but this one does. Articulation is same throughout as well, including the nice little torso, which just doesn't sound right at all, I know, but that's too many ratchet joints at once. Now for the big old cannon, as you can see here, looks very cool. It reminds me of, actually it reminds me of the cannon that came with the Pidge figure for Third Dimension. I don't know why, it just does. To do this, you need to remove the shield piece, plug this on the top, and you've got a cannon. And this one does rotate. I forgot to mention Keith's cannon does as well. You can push the button, and there goes the missile, which is all kinds of fun. Also, you can plug the shield back here if you don't want to lose it while you have the cannon in place. So that's pretty neat. Overall, Green Lion's pretty cool. Here we have the big guy himself, Black Lion. The other 4 lions retail for $19.99. Black Lion retails for $29.99. He's much bigger and has electronics in him, which makes him super cool. Now he does come with a little pilot figure of Shiro in his sled, which is super cool. And I'm just going to put it in here to start. I think this is the most involved of the cockpits, as you can't even tell it's there. But you just have to pull this up, and it's in the middle of the speaker, which is interesting. But the speaker does not get hindered by the piece, the sled piece being in there. So that's really handy. Also, that one locks into place a lot better than the others. But yes, Black Lion does not come with any other accessories. I really would have liked to have seen the mouth blade. That would have been cool, but I understand they put him into a $30 price point, and he has a ton of sound effects on his own and with the other lions. First of all, he's got rotations here, he's got a bend here, and I think a bend here. Yeah, he's got another bend here as well on the front. It's really tight though. Back legs, super ratchets, rotations, bends. Tail, just it kind of ratchets back and forth. The wings up here, all kinds of crazy articulation, more for Voltron mode. We'll get to that in a bit. And the head can move up and down, and the mouth can open. And the mouth can open separate of Voltron's head. So, pretty cool overall. Now, like I said, this guy has electronics. He takes, I don't remember what kind of batteries he takes. I think it's AAAs or AA's. A little switch at the top here, and it turns it on. There's no confirmation noise, but you do push this button on the side, and you'll notice as well there will be a light on the bottom.
Voltron is the only thing that can stop Zarkon. Let's assemble Voltron and get rid of these Galra. Form Voltron! We need to increase firepower. Systems compromised. Now, we will destroy you. Now we go on the offensive. Let's light this thing up. Fire lasers! We will save the universe. Let's light this thing up. Fire lasers!
So that's basically the gist of the sound effects. It does sound like Josh Keaton's voice for Shiro. It could be, it's slightly altered because it's coming out of a speaker instead of a recording studio, like or recording on a TV show. But a lot of the dialogue is exactly the same as dialogue spoken in the series. A lot of it is from season 2, actually. So I'm thinking the lines were either recorded or they were pulled from the show. Not exactly sure on that, as there isn't like credits of who does the voice in the Black Lion toy. But it does sound a lot like the actual voice actor. The pitch is a little off. I think it's because of the speaker size, which what I've learned recently with Power Rangers toys, you can have the same dialogue come out of 2 different toys and sound totally different because of the size of the speaker. But overall, as Black Lion by himself, who is super cool, by the way. But what is better is when we form Voltron. So now that we've assembled the 5 lions across 2 different price points, it is time to form Voltron. What is cool about this Voltron formation is that new sound effects are unlocked in the Black Lion with each lion you attach. Without further ado, let's begin. Beginning with Black Lion, first of all, straighten out the legs, which is the easiest part of the transformation. I want to make sure everything is pretty straight, as I do have to insert into other lions. Flipping around at the back here, you want to make sure and fold up the tail. Keep the wings like that. Open these panels, fold these arms in, rotate them around completely so you get this part forward, which means we got that going on, which is super cool. We're going to leave the head like that for now. For the legs of Voltron, you want to fold up the front legs, bring up the panel, flip up the head, fold the rear legs in on themselves and position the tail into the body by pushing it in. Transforming the arm lines, you want to flip up the top panel and fold the legs into the body. This is something I've always wanted a Voltron to do, as it gives it a very, very clean, show-accurate look instead of arms hanging everywhere. The legs on the back collapse up just like with the leg lions. You want to push the tails in, just like the leg lions, and fold out a peg, which is new. Now it is time to form Voltron.
Blue Lion, ready for action. Whatever you say, hero. Red Lion, ready for battle. Good to have you back, Chief. Blue Lion, ready for action. Red Lion, ready for battle.
Green Lion, all systems go!
Yellow Lion engaged. Red, green, black, blue, and yellow lions detected. Voltron operational. Voltron complete. Targeting road east.
And here is Legendary Voltron. Legendary Voltron stands at about 16 inches tall, which makes him taller than my normal review set, so welcome back to the Soundout vertical stage, because this toy is too dang big to fit anywhere else. Now, this Voltron is really impressive for a lot of reasons. First of all, Playmates Toys, I gotta give you a round of applause. You made a combining robot, and you did a pretty good combining robot. This is their first attempt at this, from what I can tell, and if they took a year off of Ninja Turtles to give us this, I take back all the complaints I had about Ninja Turtles for the last year. This is a very, very good Voltron toy, and it's the first one we've had at major retail since I believe 1998 when Third Dimension was out and Trendmasters had their Voltron. I'm really impressed with this for many reasons. First of all, they made this really large Voltron, which for comparison I shall bring in just a random robot figure in my room. That would be Toynami's Masterpiece Voltron, who was a pretty big Voltron at the time. You can see that this is a very big Voltron. Not quite as big as the Matty Collector one, but it is very large. Now, in terms of pricing, it is $110 when you buy everything, which is only available individually. I wish there was a box set, especially since it took me like 2.5 weeks after I got the rest of the Lions to find Blue Lion. But overall, I think the availability is good because it's at Walmart, it's at Target, it's at Toys R Us, it's online at Amazon, if they ever restock them, and they've been really popular. So, how is the overall combined robot? Now, what I gotta say is that there are some limitations with this Voltron. First of all, the arms look a little big, and what I realized it's not the arms are too big, it's the legs are a little too small. These should be a little bit larger than they are, and he should stand a little taller. I think that would be helping the problem a little bit. But he does look a little disproportionate. It is a part of the design too. And then the other complaint I have is he only has one weapon, and that's the sword. So the sword works fine. You just open the lion's mouth, and he's got the sword, which I think is cool. I think the sword is very cool. It looks nice. It's got the energized blade look. It is a blazing sword, which is important. The thing is, the wings don't come off, so you can't form the shield. The shoulder cannon doesn't exist, and if Lance's Lion gets a weapon, which I'm not sure of, that doesn't exist either, and I don't see any way of them releasing those weapons for this combining Voltron, nor for the interactive Voltron as well. So it's kind of an odd thing to kind of see is he just gets the sword, and that's it. You don't get the shield or anything. Now you can do what he did in the comics, I remember specifically in the comics, which was move Pidge's Lion's shield to the arm and then use that, which, I mean, that works, but it's not the most impressive thing. It's kind of strange. Now, you're probably asking, how's the articulation on this guy? First of all, there's no neck joint, and there's no reason why there isn't a neck joint. This has no ties to electronics. They could have easily put a swivel in there, which would have really helped things. I think that would have been really cool. Other than that, the arms rotate on the Black Lion joints, may I add. The arms move out. They bend at the elbow, but they do get kind of... I want to stop using that because it just sounds like it's not sitting right. But we'll just use this arm. So the arms bend. You do need to kind of move these legs out of the way to get a full bend. They do rotate. and the wrist rotates, which is pretty nice overall. In terms of leg movement, you get hips that move out, forward, back, heavy ratchets, really nice. Thigh swivel, a knee bend there, and a knee bend there, so you get kind of a double joint knee going on, which is super cool. And then you get a little bit of an ankle pivot, and you can use the lion legs here to support it. And that pretty much is it for the main body. The wings, like I said in the black line portion, they are super articulated. They move all the way up like this, and they rotate out as such, and they rotate up and down. You can put them kind of in the scene, more of the flying position, like that, which is even too tall for this stage, but you can kind of get that going on. Overall, a lot of possibilities with the wings, which I think are fantastic. It really helps, and it also helps with the balance, and I think that is the major issue with this Voltron, is balance. You may say the Power Ranger Megazord is pretty balanced, considering what it is, due to hollow parts. This guy has a very heavy torso, so you can kind of tip over really easily, especially if the front leg joints on the blue and yellow lions aren't sturdy, like good old loose foot here. So trying to support this guy can be tricky for a lot of poses. So the majority of this review, I'm just going to leave him like this. It makes it easier. I don't have to worry about him falling over. But yeah, if you're opposing this guy, be careful. It's a lot like combining Transformers, where standing is the biggest issue. Megazords, I don't have issues with Megazords standing most of the time. They don't have as much articulation, and that leads to stability. So I do say that the articulation is good, but it did need some improvement. The head, for one, and the overall balance of the toy is a little funky. He does have more sound effects now that the other lines are attached, so we will go through those now. You get a lion roar.
Pidge, form shield.
My shield can't take much more of this.
If her shield can't take much more of that, is that why it isn't included with the toy?
We need to increase firepower.
We got you, buddy.
Let's light this thing up. Fire lasers. Now we go on the offensive. Time to armor up. Lance, Hunk, give me full reverse thrusters.
Roger. Engaging lower thrusters.
Pidge, form shield.
Roger that.
Let's do it. Keith, form sword.
Time to heat things up.
Let's light this thing up. Fire lasers.
Hold it right there.
We need to increase firepower. Now we go on the offensive.
It's on.
So, there's a ton of phrases in this. Occasionally you'll have Shiro say the one phrase, and then one of the other lions will comment. Or you'll have phrases from the other lions. I have not nailed down how many sound effects are in this thing that are unique phrases, but it is a lot, and I cannot find a good way of recording all of them. There are some I haven't even played for you in this video. Also, when you attach the lions, you can get different phrases sometimes. When you detach the lions, you get other different phrases. There's so much packed into the electronics box of this Black Lion, it makes the whole package worth it. So there are some drawbacks, there are some balance issues, some QC that's a little iffy here and there. And, you know, lack of shield, lack of shoulder cannon, lack of neck articulation. Overall, though, it's a very solid Voltron, probably one of the best that's ever been made. And I gotta say, I do highly recommend it for those that love the show. It's definitely worth it. Now, one other QC problem people have been having, and me as well, is that sometimes the joints don't always detach or attach well enough. For example, Green Lion here takes a whole lot of force to get off, and there's no really good reason why. It just kind of is stuck there. I tend to rotate like this and just...
Red Lion, ready for battle.
Good to have you back, Keith.
I pulled it so hard, Red Lion re-engaged. So there is that. Now, for those of you wondering, it detects lions. Does it know when you don't have one in place? Yes, it does, which is why it taunted me about Blue Lion for so long.
Pidge, fire up the Green Lion. We're coming in hot.
Also, this thing is a little off balance if you're missing a limb. But basically, it does call out
Fire up the Green Lion. We're coming in hot.
whichever lion's not there.
We need the Red Lion.
So you got that.
Separation sequence. Engaged. Huck, we're waiting on the yellow lion. Great work, team.
And then it goes back to nothing. But if you have, like, you know, yellow on.
We need the red lion. Pidge, fire up the green lion. We're coming in hot. Lance, we're still missing the blue lion.
Yeah, that line tormented me for a while. Basically, the idea is that there's different sounds.
Blue lion, ready for action.
So you got all that going on. There's a whole lot to this toy, and I think that overall the positives outweigh the negatives.
Fire up the green lion.
I'm just going to turn the black line off. Part of the problem is that if this thing doesn't have one of its limbs on it, it is completely unstable. Overall, I definitely recommend Legendary Voltron to the fans of the series, both the new Netflix series as well as the original, or even Voltron Force. If you were bummed out you never got a Voltron Force toy, this one's kind of similar in design elements here and there. But overall, it's definitely a solid release. It does have some issues here and there. Hopefully things that'll be cleared up with later production runs. I think joint tolerance is probably the enemy here, but Hasbro has trouble with that with Transformers too, so can't really blame Playmates too much. It may be just a current economy market thing. But Playmates doing a combining robot, this probably took a lot of time to develop for them. They're not used to doing this. They're used to doing Ninja Turtles and Star Trek and stuff. So I think that definitely they did a good job for their first outing with a combining robot. And it being split up is kind of annoying. I wish there was a box set, but yeah, it kind of helped my budget a little bit. I could just buy lines here and there, and it eventually all came together. So overall, definitely recommend picking him up if you can. Like I said, American retail, $110 for the whole set. Available at Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, online. And if you maybe watch this review without watching the Voltron Legendary Defender series on Netflix, I definitely recommend it. It's one of the best Netflix originals I've seen. It's probably the best animated Netflix original. It's really well done, and I definitely recommend checking it out. It's not the perfect, best, most pristine animated show ever, but it's really good, and I do recommend checking it out if you haven't. And that's pretty much it for this review. Stay tuned. There is another wave of figures coming out apparently in the middle of the year with the pilots, so I'm gonna pick those up and probably review them, as well as Myzak, who I did buy. I did buy Myzak, even though he's not scaled with this Voltron, just because I want to get one of the 5-inch Voltrons later, and there's more Road Beasts coming, so I got him. So I might review him with the next wave instead of on his own, but, you know, definitely cool combining Voltron. Now, I just want 16-inch tall Road Beast figures to go with them. That would be pretty sweet. Probably not going to happen, but it'd be pretty sweet. Anyways, that is all for this review. Stay tuned for more in the future. Subscribe for future videos, and be sure to hit the bell so you get notifications every time I upload a new review to this channel. And comment below telling me which is your favorite version of Voltron. Until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.